Journal entry, Monday, November 2nd. At our grade level meetings, we discussed what we could do to get ourselves out of academic emergency. The principal told us to focus on reading, writing, and math throughout the day. Our school would be judged only on how well the third graders did on the math achievement test and the fourth graders on the reading proficiency test. All other learnings were irrelevant.
As the school counselor of 3 schools, including Park Street Elementary, I provide guidance classes for 28 classrooms, facilitate small groups, and assist with case management for special education. I also coordinate high-stakes testing in the fall and the spring. I am just one of the highly qualified teachers in this failing school. Every spring, there are 4 weeks of system-wide mandatory achievement testing in the 1st through 5th grades. Special arrangements must be made for students to whom the test must be read aloud. Bilingual dictionaries, CD translations, and CD players are required for students who do not speak English fluently or who are brand new to American schools. 6 weeks roll by with little else happening that resembles actual counseling to students, parents, or teachers. The tests had been translated into Japanese, Russian, Somali, Spanish, and Chinese by the state and recorded on CDs. Students listened to the CD while following along with the text in English. They could stop the CD or replay a question while they considered their response. Banta was escorted to my office and seated before a copy of the test, 2 freshly sharpened number 2 pencils and a CD player. Swathed in her burqa, her bright eyes took in the situation. She was quietly nervous. I tried to put her at ease with smiles and a cheerful voice as I anticipated Banta's surprised recognition of the Somali speaker on the CD. The test began as the play button was pressed and Banta's face came to life. For a moment, Banta had a Somali voice to guide her through the mystifying experience of her first American standardized test. Her dark skin and delighted smile lit up the room. Only moments later, the frightening reality of the process chilled Banta's pleasure. Her 4 months in the United States were no preparation for the 300-word passage in English. The translator on the CD could only read the directions and the comprehension questions, not the actual passage. So Banta's comprehension was not tested, only her English mastery. She looked up at me with confusion. For a moment, she was feeling so confident and hopeful. She had a chance to show how smart she really is. Her look said, "Can you really expect me to read this and answer the questions?" Each school is scored on its rate of participation for each test. Each untested student counts as a 0, which lowers our overall performance significantly. So Banta was instructed, listen to the CD, mark only 1 circle for each question. Banta began to alternate the play and stop buttons and to color in the scanning circles. She paused frequently to look at me. Why? She seemed to be asking as the morning wore on. Eventually, it was lunchtime, and she was not to mingle with other students since she had not completed the test. Others like her might discuss their answers for pork-free hot dogs and tater tots. More than once, I wanted to say, "Never mind, this is just silly. Go to recess and have a nice time." The state would not allow that.
I feel the constant pressure to increase my students' test scores. I want my kids to do well because that is how I too am judged. One day I let the pressure show and I transferred it to the students in a way that I regret. I teach my students to engage in self-reflection and self-evaluation, but all of that flies out the window during the era of standardized testing. Today I became angry in class. I filled my own heart with the poison of my anger. As my students filled in their answer bubble sheets, I circulated around the room to make sure that their answer bubble sheets corresponded with the answers that they had in their test booklets. The first 2 scan sheets that I checked had answer bubbles filled in to number 55, even though there were only 52 questions on the test. I exploded. If your answer bubble sheets don't match up with your test booklet, then it makes it look like you didn't learn anything. It makes it look like I didn't do my job. It makes me look bad. I don't want to look bad. I want to look good. Everyone, go back and check your answer bubble sheets and make sure that they match up with your test booklet. I was mad. I was evil. I became the fear that no child left behind had instilled in me. After my meltdown, my colleague, Teresa, came through the beaded curtain that separates our 2 classrooms. We're good friends and we talk about our teaching frequently with each other. I was embarrassed that I had reacted the way that I did, but I talked with Teresa about it honestly. I think we both hope that if we talk about these things and don't sweep them under the carpet, that they won't have permanent control over us, and that we'll be able to stand firm in what we truly believe about teaching. The next day I told my students that I had talked with Miss Stonerock about my behavior the previous day. Poor David and Philippe were the major recipients of my anger. David asked, "Why do you get mad so fast?" Good question. It's the pressure to do well on tests that don't necessarily reflect better learning. It's the pressure of irrational shaming. It's the fear that I know I should not be feeling. I found it hard to explain.